Coming up on Look Today, well, the Saratoga Economic Development Corporation held the second in its series of CEO tours in our area, and we were there. And the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival, held a meeting last night in Fort Edward, and we were also there. Plus, Saratoga PLAN has been awarded a $50,000 grant from New York State. We've got those details. All ahead on Look Today. Welcome everyone, I'm J. Hood Jackson and this is Look Today. Well, in tonight's program, I sit down with Vince D. Leonardis. He's city attorney for Saratoga Springs, and he's here to talk about the new Saratoga City Charter Review Commission. Plus, we've also sit down with Diane Bargel. She's director of the music program at SUNY Adirondack, and we're joined by Miriam Enman. She's an adjunct professor of piano and choir for SUNY Adirondack, and they're here to talk about an exciting faculty concert that's happening in Glens Falls, April 13. Plus, we've got your weather for the Tri-North counties. But first, we've got these headline stories. Well, in our lead story, the Saratoga Economic Development Corporation held the second in its series of CEO tours. Now, this time, they visited the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Local 773 in Glens Falls. Now, these tours are opening up dialogue between different businesses to show how more collaboration can spur economic growth. Well, the tour allows CEOs and gives them the opportunity to ask questions about issues related to how different businesses operate and work and workforce development. Well, we were on this second tour and we got the chance to speak to Dennis Brobston. He's president of Saratoga Economic Development Corporation.
We want to explain the competition we have so they can get a better feel for the type of work we're doing. We also want to say that when you're doing development work, the type of work is what it's all about. So if it's a semiconductor plant, that's one thing. If it's a warehouse, that's another. If it's manufacturing, it's another. Some people need to be here, and they're going to be here no matter what. There are other projects that need to be really worked on in the greater scheme of life. They could be in other places in the country. So what does that mean and how do our attractions work for that? That's what we're here to discuss today.
Solid. In other news, well, the Poor People's Campaign, which is a national call for moral revival that started with Dr. Martin Luther King, held a meeting last night in Fort Edward. Now, the goal of the campaign is to bring people together across the country to build awareness for income inequality and issues in poverty. Now, the campaign will launch 40 days of moral action. It's going to start May 13 and go until June 21st in 40 different states across the country. And we spoke to June Rednacci. She's the volunteer organizer, and we spoke to her about the Poor People's Campaign mission.
It means that we have drinkable water. It means that we have clean air that we can breathe, and our children won't have asthma. These are the rights that we are asking for. These are the principles of the campaign. And I encourage everybody to go online and check out the Poor People's Campaign and sign up, because this is not only going to affect you, but 50 years down the line, we don't want poverty for our grandchildren.
Wow. All right, switching from news to weather. Temperatures are expected to heat up. Yes, spring. Let's see how the week is shaping up. For a more detailed look at our weather, let's head to the Glens Falls Weather Center for a look at your first forecast.
Thank you, Jesse. I'm meteorologist Clarence Ponser with your first look weather update here on Look TV. We currently have high pressure in control across much of the Mid-South and Southeast. We also have a high pressure system that's going to be best tailored to you over the New England area. We also have a cold front heading into Southeast Canada at this moment, plus a stationary front near the I-80, I-90 corridor from Des Moines to Chicago to Toledo. Let's take a look at our overnight lows across the local capital district. Generally upper 20s to lower to mid 30s. We'll be down to 31 in Fort Edward. Glens Falls about freezing, 25 in Parsville. and up towards higher elevation, 24 in the Johnsburg area. Regionally, 20s and 30s, maybe some 40s towards Pittsburgh and our nation's capital in D.C. A relatively dry weather pattern. However, we may see a few rain to all snow chances, and we could see those skies clear out as well, but it won't be a dry weather day tomorrow. 51 with showers expected, south wind about 10 or so miles per hour. And our out-the-door forecast looks a bit on the cool side, and we could see those rain chances come by the end of the 8 a.m. hour. And the rain chances continue well into the extended forecast, generally in the 40s and 50s for highs, 30s and 40s for lows. Best chances of rain Thursday at 8%. Weekend looks a bit damp, 60% coverage. You might want some indoor plans for this weekend, and we could see a near expected chance of showers on Monday. That was your weather update here on First Look Weather on Look TV. I'm meteorologist Clarence Ponser. Now I send it back to you, Jesse.
Well, thanks very much, Clarence. What's the phrase? April showers bring something in May. I don't know, but we're going to get April showers. All right, back to the news. Great organization in Saratoga called Saratoga PLAN. Well, they've been awarded $50,000 grant for the new Land Trusts program, which is administered by New York State. Now, according to American Farmland Trust, New York State has lost more than 4,000 farms to development since just the 1980s. Now, there's an incredible amount of pressure, as you probably know, on farmland owners to sell their land. Well, Saratoga PLAN's new program will further assist organizations in educating the public on the importance of local agriculture and its preservation. And we spoke to Michael Horn. He's Conservation Director for Saratoga PLAN.
Agriculture in Saratoga County is a $100 million industry. It is under a lot of pressure. There's a lot of development pressure in Saratoga County, tremendous growth. That's great for the economy, but it puts strain on our farmland resources, on the culture and the rural character of the county, and you got to find the right balance in those things.
Up next, I sit down with Vince DeLeonardis. He's city attorney, Saratoga Springs. And he's here to talk about the new Saratoga City Charter Review Commission. I also sit down with Diane Bargel. She's director of the music program at SUNY Adirondack, and we're joined by Miriam Enman. She's an adjunct professor of piano and choir for SUNY Adirondack. They're here to talk about an exciting faculty concert that's happening April 13th, which I think is this Friday in Glens Falls. But first, if you see news happening, you want to share a story idea, how about join us for an interview? Then give us a call on the hotline. The number is 798-8000. Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of Look Today. I've got a couple of lookouts. First, if you catch an early broadcast, party tonight, Delphi Hotel, Saratoga Springs, for the launch of the design issue for Saratoga Living Magazine. And they're going to do a party, I understand, for each issue at a setting related to the cover story for that issue. Very cool idea. A second lookout, a lot more serious, I think. I don't know about you, very hard to get through a day hearing the national, international news and just being completely upset by the chaos and the lack of leadership coming out of Washington. But it is really offset by a couple of things that we just experienced recently here at Look Media. I'll give you the examples. Today, we taped our first in our 8-part series called A Look at Veterans. And Denise Romeo, Executive Vice President for Saratoga Chamber, was in about the Veterans Business Council. And I'm co-hosting this with Cheryl Hage-Perez, who runs Executive Director for Vet Help. And the conversation was, we just couldn't stop talking. It's all issues related to vets of all ages, from all wars, both genders, and it was just like, it just reminded us of a way a community can work together. And we just had another example last night, Fort Edward, where June Rednacci was there to talk about the Poor People's Campaign. It was a campaign that started 50 years ago, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and to see the community interacting on ways to help people lift themselves out of poverty. That's really a lot of very strong community outreach. Certainly offsets what you hear every day if you go to any newscast. I don't care where you go. All right, tonight on Look TV, Saratoga City Council meeting. And don't forget, you can tune here tomorrow night for the stories that matter to you. Good night, everyone.